Are you struggling to feed your family and need some new, really cheap meal ideas? Just keep watching. Hello everybody. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. My name is Tamara. Today's video, we are going to be cooking up a few meals that are super cheap to be able to feed your family on a really tight budget. They are minimal ingredients and honestly, probably not the best nutrition-wise, but when you are struggling to just get a meal out on the table, it is okay. All that matters is that your family is fed. It doesn't have to be all these fancy ingredients. So I've got the basics for you guys today, and I really hope you enjoy. Macaroni and tomato soup. This one is only 3 ingredients and it's going to fill tummies, and this one's also kid friendly. I'm going to be using some elbow noodles, a can of tomato soup. Now I am making a single serving of this, and so adjust it according to your family size, of course. And you can use tomato juice instead of tomato soup if that's a cheaper option for you, depending on your family size. If you do use tomato juice, I wouldn't add water, but I am going to add in 2 cans of water to this 1 can of tomato soup. I'm going to add in 1 cup of elbow macaroni, and then we are just going to bring it to a boil, cook those noodles through, and it's going to be delicious. I didn't add any seasonings or anything. This is super basic, literally 3 ingredients, and it is delicious. Adding proteins in can get pretty expensive, especially if you're on an extreme budget. But these bacon bits that we're going to be using in this recipe right here are really inexpensive. There is a lot of shelf-stable protein options that are really reasonably priced, and items that you can keep on hand to help with your budget and still be able to stock up. So we're going to do a bacon and pea spaghetti. I'm going to be using some chicken bouillon, but of course you can use chicken broth. We're going to be using spaghetti, and then I chose peas, but you can change out whatever veggie that you want. I'm starting out with 2 cups of water to make my chicken broth, and I'm just going to bring that to a boil. Now I noticed after the noodles were cooking down that I didn't have enough liquid, so I did end up having to add about a half a cup or so more of liquid once those noodles and peas started cooking. So just keep an eye on it, and you use your judgment if you need to add in more liquid or not. I'm going to go ahead and add those noodles, get those boiling and cooked through. Now we're cooking our noodles in our broth and letting it soak in, kind of like how I did the orzo the last time. In my other video, I'll have that video linked down below. But when you cook noodles in your chicken broth, it's going to give you so much flavor and with not a lot of extra added cost, especially if you're on an extreme budget. Having to cook meals with minimal ingredients, sometimes it can be pretty bland and boring. But if you cook your pasta in chicken broth, and it kind of soaks it in, and it kind of makes its own little sauce, and then with the peas, and then of course season it with your heart, whatever seasonings you have on hand. The basics is really good is salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. For any budget meal, those 4 are like the best ones. But we just let that liquid, everything soak up and cook down. It makes its own sauce, and it is really delicious. I just taste tested a noodle to make sure that it was cooked all the way through. Now we're going to add in our bacon bits. I ended up doing just a half of that bag. So, all in all, if you buy these ingredients as a whole, this is going to do about 2 meals depending on your family size. So that's, this is a really cheap meal, but if you can get 2 meals out of these ingredients, that's a heck of a deal. This one was super simple to put together, yet delicious. Poor man's stew. This one is definitely cheap, minimal ingredients, and this was pretty popular in the Depression era. We're going to use some Barres hot dogs, which right now they are $1.18-ish a pack at my Walmart. We're going to use an onion, a few potatoes, and the original recipe, if you find on Pinterest, and I'll have one linked down below, calls for tomato sauce. I didn't have any, I just used spaghetti sauce, but honestly it gave it really good flavor, and I didn't have to add in a lot of seasonings because there was already a ton of seasoning in that spaghetti sauce. I've got my pan nice and hot with some oil. I'm going to go ahead and add in my hot dogs. We're going to give them some color, and then we're going to add in our onion and our potatoes. I'm going to go ahead and get everything a mix, and then we're going to season it with some salt and pepper. I kept it simple and basic, and after it all cooked down, like I said, with using that spaghetti sauce, it already had so much flavor, it didn't need it. I'm going to add in our tomato sauce with a little bit of water and just give everything a mix. Got this on about a medium-low heat. We are just going to put a lid on it and let those potatoes cook through and everything marry together. Here is what it looks like when it's all done. Honestly, it was pretty good, and if I needed to eat this on an extreme budget, I definitely would. Last but not least is some pinto beans. I feel like this is the ultimate struggle meal in my opinion, but it's something that we eat as a normal meal here in our house, and I feel like a lot of people do as well. But I feel like a lot of people don't realize how cheap it is and how filling it can be. I just get a bag of dry pintos. I do soak mine overnight in water. I pick through them to make sure everything, there's no rocks or anything, no bad ones. And then I put that bag of beans in a crock pot, fill it up with water, put a ham hock in there. They're normally a couple bucks. You can even use bacon if you needed to. You could use canned ham. Those are also, good cheap protein options to give your beans some flavor. I use seasonings from my cabinet. I add a little bit of chicken bouillon in, and that's it. Put the lid on them, let them cook about 10 hours on low, and you've got a good old pot of pinto beans. A little bit before serving time, I like to take a few ladlefuls of my beans and immersion blend them. That just helps thicken them up. But we do like ours kind of on the soupier side because we like to put cornbread in ours to thicken it up once we, serve the bowls. But beans are really, really good option, especially if you're on the struggle bus, just needing to feed your family. People joke about, oh, I'm going to live on, rice and beans and rice, but why not? Throw in some seasonings and it can be a pretty good meal. If you do need to stretch these pintos, you can serve them over white rice. That is going to be definitely more filling with the rice and the bean combo. We normally serve ours with cornbread. I normally have everything on hand to make some homemade cornbread or cornbread muffins, and that is what we did for this night. Please remember, if you are struggling with feeding your family and providing meals, reach out to your local 211, food banks, churches. If your kiddos go to public school, reach out to the school system. I know here in our area, we have a program through the school system that helps families in need. So your school might do that as well. You just might not know about it. But do not feel bad, hesitant at all to reach out to these resources. They are there to help and provide meals for your family. So please don't feel hesitant at all to reach out. Don't feel bad about it. Everybody needs help out every once in a while, and it is totally okay. I really hope today's video gave you guys some inspiration to be able to feed your family super cheap. Just remember, sometimes you got to go back to the basics. Minimal ingredients just to fill tummies is totally okay. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.